So I love, we actually created a document called the client journey for SoCal Powerlifting, and we have two. One is for the clients who just want to get stronger and feel good, and one's for the clients that have goals of competing.
Right.
The ones that just want to feel good, at the stages are this: it's getting you up to speed, making sure your technique is proficient and solid, and here's what we're going to do that, and we're going to do these check-ins and meet with you and all this stuff. Number two is programming. So like you're going to be a little bit more on your own, but we're going to be trying things. We're going to be measuring, the different metrics we're going to measure, whether it's peak volume, average weights, intensity, things like that. And then number three is you've reached, I won't call it expert level, but you've reached tier 3 where it's like, now you're in cruise mode. Now we're like, we know it works. We'll make tweaks and changes, but here's what those changes will look like. And it's just maybe swapping out accessory work, things like that. And you're on to that next level, which could maybe be 24 weeks down the road. But the one thing I like about that is I'm being assumptive in how long the client's going to stay. And so if I say, cool, I'm going to make you a year-long plan, even though that client just did a 3-month membership, it's showing them that we care so deeply that we're going to take time to build out like longer time horizons and being assumptive. And then in their mind, they're like sick, like they have things to look forward to. For the competitor, so if you're talking to, again, a lot of coaches listening to this probably coach some competitors, it's being very clear on, let's say, we'll use powerlifting, for example, because that's what I know best, like Raw Nationals. So let's say Raw Nationals is June now. It's going to be, okay, we're going to do a local meet in, let's call it September or October, and these are the goals of this local meet. And here's what we're going to do into that. We're going to do some GPP. We're going to work on some weak points and stuff. Like this is what we want to work on. Then we're going to do this now state. They've made it so I think you have to qualify through state championships now, which is a good thing. That's cool. It makes it more competitive. So now states is in, I want to say like February or something like that. Cool. This is what we're going to do into states. We're going to try and do these things. We're going to hit these qualifying standards. This is how your training is going to look. It's going to be a little more specific, but we're still going to have like maybe some more accessory work, working on these weak points, whatever it is. And then it's like, cool, we're going into Raw Nat. So I've planned out the year-long training plan. We've been able to use a long-term planner for this and gotten really clear on what that's going to look like. And then from the expectation standpoint, this is where I believe, and we've talked about this even with the Coach Logic platform, it's like over deliver over and again. So like I'll throw in with our coaches, like if a client needs an extra phone call or an extra meeting or whatever it is, extra session, we'll just toss them in. Nice. It's not scalable per se. Like a business guru, a VC guy would be like, oh, you can't do that. But I believe that like by doing those things, going above and beyond, it does make all the difference.
Right. I'm intrigued by this idea of a client journey. I've not heard that before, but I've never done this. Where do you start? Like, give me like the top 5 points of like, what is a client journey? How do I write it down? Like, what do I implement? What's important in there? What's not important?
Yeah. So I'm going to try to keep this broad and not sport specific. Right. So I think there's rules that apply to whether you're coaching barbell athletes, whether you're coaching performance, like sport performance athletes, whatever it is, or even like Gen Pop. It's looking at the ICP, so your ideal client, persona, and looking at the clients who you've coached for a long time, what their journey has been like. And with your coaching, how you've seen like the shifts and the changes. Like you'll notice at X amount of weeks, you notice clients actually ask you less like silly questions.
Right.
Oh, maybe that's week 12 that happens. Okay, so through weeks 1 through 12, we know we got to handhold a little bit more. And then we know from weeks 12 to 24 that maybe the questions turn into more technical questions, things like that. So like looking at your ICP and then taking like, where do they need help with, and with what in particular? And then what does that look like in a bullet point kind of FAQ type of format, and showing them with some sort of graphic of what will they be experiencing through these phases. So it's almost like writing phases of training, but writing phases of the client journey. I guess the best way to put it is it's the phases of the client going through changes and growing as a lifter or athlete or whatever it is. And putting that into a nice little like ebook sort of PDF type format from the start, where they really understand, and that helps them really understand the long-term plan, where they're going, what they're doing and why, and their belief in the system.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've never thought of that. And it's like something you give the client, right?
Yeah.
Like as an ebook or like a PDF, whatever you want to call it. That's super, super cool. I like the idea of like integrating that as part of the onboarding, where I'd never even thought of the idea of like showing them like, hey, here's the sort of like path that you're going to take in this journey. And it, Granted, it might not be the thing that like a high level competitor needs because they're already at that point and they get it. They just want you for your expertise and they know you're a good coach. But even in that situation, it might make sense to be able to say like, look, I've thought about outlining what your journey is going to be. Yeah. And you're writing down like, okay, phase 1 is we get to know each other. We learn the system that works for you.
And we learn each other.
Yeah. We kind of build this relationship. Then the second phase is like, we're going to move into this other stage of like, kind of just operating, you know, we both get what's going on. We're both kind of a partnership now in this process, and just refine that to get to the point where we're getting enough communication that it works for both of us, but also maybe dialing in a little bit more of the like who needs what from the other person, right? Like I'm going to need more feedback from you, or I need you to send me more videos or whatever it is.
Yeah. I'll give you an example too. I saw a coach post this the other day, and I really liked it. It was a question of, when should you fix a client's technique? And you have to like look at it through some frames. If a client is like 6 weeks out from a meet,
right,
you probably shouldn't touch it. Like unless they're really going to get injured, you know,
right.
But you have to like make decisions on, I'm going to keep it like this way for now and make a decision. But that should be communicated to the client. Like you should tell them, hey, what you're doing is fine for now. We're going to eke as much, you know, weight on the bar as we can this way. But I need you to know that after this meet, you're probably going to regress before you progress, because we're changing how you do things and we're relearning it. And here's why. So the key is just getting super clear.